And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, to some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, this it is and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer, sir, said I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore, but the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there and nothing more. Welcome back, Raven. As you know, to be accessed into the Military Intelligence Corps, you must be able to qualify for a personnel security clearance and must demonstrate to selecting officials that you possess the required reliability, stability and judgment, and thus far you have demonstrated at least some minimal potential. But still, do you have the right stuff? Do we have your attention? We know that you are interested. Have you made your decision for crisis management? Lights. Camera. Action. Based upon your past performance in the initial screening assessment, you had been specially selected for advancement to participate in another unique simulation experience to assess your particular aptitude for analytical capability and leadership as a company-grade military officer in immersive and realistic scenarios, which had tested your acumen and ability, and which may be encountered by senior-level leaders. So, again, you are to be commended for your demonstrated attainments thus far, but there are still yet more challenging tasks to be accomplished. In a real situation, with tempers hot and adrenaline running, the decisions that you make may not only affect you and your career progression but will have ripple effects upon perhaps thousands or even millions of others. No pressure. You are still in the game. Many are called, but few are chosen. So, let's see how you performed. In the last assessment, we had reviewed your aptitude at analyzing pertinent facts that had been presented with regard to the initial reports of a pneumonia of unknown origin, evading attempts to treat the disease through traditional antibiotics and anti-influenza drugs, and that had first been detected at Wuhan Central General Hospital, now associated with Lineage B, and pertaining to a sole patient who had been admitted on December 18, 2019, an initial onset of illness between 13 and 15. December 2019, along with additional information that should have proven useful in proceeding to the next phase of the timeline analysis. We now shift focus to the next events associated with Hubei General Hospital, now associated with Lineage A, where an elderly couple had been admitted on what appears to be a critical date, December 27, 2019, a common point of singularity that appears in the reported narrative of events in Wuhan, perhaps by coincidence, or potentially by design, through published features on the virus that may appear to have been engineered. To demonstrate minimal proficiency as an intelligence analyst, you should have noticed the most distinguishing factor between the quality of treatment and sense of urgency at these two facilities, finding the rather lackluster AI Fun, the director of the emergency department, as the primary decision-maker at Wuhan Central General Hospital, regarding the care of only one case, involving a 65-year-old pneumonia patient, later determined to be a delivery person at the Huanan Wholesale Seafood Market, and associated with a Lineage B infection, in stark contrast to the rather aggressive Zhang Jixian, the Director of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine, at Hubei General Hospital, and the zeal with which, on December 27, 2019, an elderly couple, with not even a remote connection to the wet market, that has become a centerpiece of the controversy surrounding the origins of the virus, and that had been elevated to a top priority for the entire leadership cadre at that facility. Further, while it had been advanced by the WHO that, in China, many hospitals have fever clinics that were established and maintained since the SARS outbreak, there does not appear to be any uniformity in the treatment protocols among these facilities, as might be expected in a more autocratic system. For example, the failures at Wuhan Central General Hospital to identify the signature opacities on the CT scan, which appear to have immediately triggered the staff at Hubei General Hospital to escalate what had been characterized as an extraordinary situation to a state of emergency, even convening an emergency meeting of local top experts, which had included among them Zhang Jixian, the Director of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine. In all-source intelligence analysis, a Batabar second lieutenant would be expected to demonstrate a minimal level of proficiency by identifying the quality of care and styles of personal leadership demonstrated by the primary decision-makers at both facilities, and, since you have so far avoided elimination from consideration for selection, you may take some level of satisfaction of that minimal threshold for an intelligence analyst. However, an intelligence analyst is expected to be able to perform at a far more advanced level of competence, beyond restating the obvious, and, rather, must demonstrate some level of aptitude at drawing inferences from a wide range of disciplines and from their experience, for, as Sun Tzu had advised that only the most capable officers should be selected for the discipline of intelligence, an accession into intelligence is based upon what value added you bring to the table. Can you measure up? Do you have what it takes? This has yet to be demonstrated to our satisfaction. Still, just as intelligence drives the mission cycle, acquiring a thorough comprehension of the situational terrain should be of some assistance in this comparative analysis, from which additional overlays can be applied. And you will note that two primary decision makers had been presented with comparable, but yet distinct, fact patterns, i.e., at Wuhan Central General Hospital with only a sole patient, age 65, unresponsive to traditional treatment methods, in contrast with the situation at Hubei General Hospital, involving an elderly couple, age unknown, of whom it is only known had presented with cases of a pneumonia of unknown origin, apparently identified after a CT scan, a procedure performed, apparently, at both facilities. Akin to SARS and MERS, it is now known that with COVID-19, the typical CT findings shall demonstrate bilateral and peripheral predominant ground glass images. However, in accordance with the Fleischner Society consensus statement, CT is only appropriate in certain scenarios, including patients who are at risk for and or develop clinical worsening opacities, and is generally not utilized as a primary diagnostic tool. Why both facilities had used this rather advanced diagnostic method on these patients, as well as why there is no indication regarding the use of the relatively standard auscultation with an electronic stethoscope protocols to analyze, with graphically illustrative clarity, electronic recordings of breath sounds, which surely would have detected at least circumstantial evidence of bilateral lesions, indicative of possibly multiple ground glass opacities and fibrous stripes, is not clear. Certainly they had to have been aware that high-quality auscultation recordings may have also revealed coarse breath sounds, wheezes, coarse crackles, fine crackles, and Velcro crackles, which would have better informed the treatment course for this patient who had not been responding to traditional treatments, as well as for the elderly patients who had been admitted to Wuhan Central General Hospital, presenting the first case involving the lineage A strain. The divergent courses taken after examination of the CT scan, finding the treatment team at Wuhan Central General Hospital not immediately identifying the signature opacities associated with SARS and MERS, as had been escalated to an emergency priority at Hubei General Hospital. In addition to the delays addressing the failure of traditional treatment methods for the 65-year-old patient at Wuhan General Hospital, until December 26, 2019 raises questions not only regarding uniformity of care, but further raises a reasonable inference of suspicion, when taken in view of the train of events associated with the date December 27 in Wuhan. And we shall delve further into this assessment in the next installment. This concludes this leadership assessment simulation, and you shall be contacted with the results. Thanks for your participation. That is all. Carry on.
This message was approved by Major Mike Webb. Honest.